That may have just been enough to literally help somebody save themselves.
The word has a more powerful effect than the sword, dude.
Okay, let's get real here. What was the darkest moment of your life?
Life is a pitch. It's simply that. It is a pitch, and it is fun. Let's make sure that you're being sold what you want and you're selling what you actually want to sell. I really just love selling. It's the easiest thing on the planet if you believe in yourself. Let's buckle up. By the way, my name's JL. This is Sell Anything.
So this episode contains a little bit more sensitive information that some may be triggered by. Buckle up. They're important topics that need to be discussed. They're a part of the world we live in. If they trigger you, sorry, you've been warned. Hop on in and have some fun. Welcome back to the Sell Anything podcast. This is part 2 of the interview with Ryan Stream. Dude had so much good stuff to say, and it was so fun to chat with. That common ground was there that we wanted to roll this a little longer and give you another dose of the man. So I want to actually start this podcast with one main question.
Yeah.
What is the thing that you love to do the most? What could you do all day, every day?
Well, dude, I love speaking. I love doing music and stuff, but it's what comes from it. You know how you're helping somebody, or even your kids, even as your educators, when they're giving you advice, teaching you, singing you, however you learn. Do you ever notice that light that just comes on in somebody's eyes? Like
when it clicks. Yeah.
It clicks. Bro, that is so addicting to see, because I'm a firm believer of I'm just going to give you all I have, and I believe in the spiritual realm. I'm just going to let your ancestors and the spirit do the rest.
Okay.
But when I see that come in, and how do you get that to come in? You have to have common ground. You see, a lot of times people say like, well, I don't want them to know that about me. Dude, I am an open book. Some things you do need to keep personal, because there's people out there, they'll take what you said and then say, he's like this, he told me this, and it's too bad. But when somebody's truly wanting to change, or somebody's truly wanting help, they're coming to you in a very vulnerable state, right? And so when you can give them guidance, for example, my neighbor, his kid was struggling, and I won't get into too much in detail. I didn't have any permission to tell the story. And he was in a group home. Anyways, to make the story short, he was living with meth heads, and I said, can I talk to your son? And they said yes. And me and him went over, dude, and I just was like, when I was young, I was a drug addict. When I was young, I told him everything. So it made it easier for him to say, wow, okay, let me tell you what I've done. Me and him were in tears, dude.
Yeah. He
ended up joining the military. He's almost done with his degree and done with his first term in the military. Changed it around. But when that came into his eyes, wait a minute, you did that too? It's like my mom, dude. Me and my parents, they adopted me. I love them. We don't have the relationship that other people would have. We'll put it that way. I didn't get that. I don't have that. I'm trying to build that relationship with my children, right?
Right.
My story's different. It's the way it is. It's how it is. But there's a lot of love there. We love each other, but it's, I go long times without seeing them. Not that I don't want to. We're busy. They're busy. And it's just the relationship's missing. Something's missing. Okay. But with my kids, I want to build that. And I can't even remember where the heck I was going with this, but where was I going with this? Gosh, dang it.
The light turning on.
The light turning on. Okay.
Kid.
Oh, yes. So my mom and dad, you would always tell your children stories, right? And there's some things they would tell us, and then some things that they wouldn't tell us. And sometimes people don't want to tell you things because they're very religious, and maybe they don't like the way you'll view them or see them, but everybody's a person, and everybody struggles, and everybody goes through certain things. And when I got in my wreck, when I was talking to my mom about it, she's like, man, one time I got in a wreck and my friend went through the windshield. And I was like, what?
What?
Mom, what?
Yeah.
But it's those stories that bring you closer to them because you have a similar experience.
Right.
And why do men nowadays especially create these tribes? Because they get together to tell stories. All throughout history, what did people do before the televisions, bro? It was the best storyteller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, always look for that common ground. I did that with that child. I do it with children all across the world. I do it with everybody that I connect with, and people do it for you. When you're listening to a talk, whether it be on social media, at church, or whatever, the people that you resonate the best with
have the best stories.
Have the best stories because they have common ground with you.
Dude, that's power. Well, okay, so here's the cool thing. Removing all the slippery sand of deceit, deception, lies,
Yeah.
and getting to the foundation of truth. If the idea or the story is being shared from the foundation of truth, like going into that, it's not a halfway house, rehab house, going into the house where this kid's located and just laying out the raw truth and saying,
Dude, it was at his parents' house.
so going wherever you go,
Yeah.
right? And you just lay out the raw truth and say, here's where I've been, here's what I've done, here's where I'm going. Then they can relate to you. Because the only way to build common ground with anybody is on a foundation of truth.
Amen.
If it's not built on the
And
foundation
people
of
can tell
truth,
when you're deceiving them or lying. And if not,
100%.
then later on,
yeah, because
there's a lot of people that deceive.
it'll break, dude.
Yep.
It'll break. As soon as any deception is left out, it'll break.
Yeah.
Like, for example, and I agree with exactly what you said. There have been a lot of stories that have been shared with me where half truths were given.
Yeah.
Because if the whole truth was exposed, then it would expose the human of the person. Like, because we're all human. We're all make mistakes.
Human.
We're not perfect. But it would expose the human element and put darkness over the saint element.
Yep.
That they're like, oh, that's going to tint my.
Yeah.
Actually, dude, I'm so much more endeared to you if you're just raw and you're like, dude, I was doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. I've done it too.
Yeah. And there's so many people that are like, that's how I built my whole career, dude.
Yeah.
I started being vulnerable and then I got investigated by the military to make sure I was telling the truth. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
But as soon as I was vulnerable and I got attention, there was people there that was trying to put out my light, you know? But with that kid, I don't want to misguide. He was at a group home, ran away.
Okay.
And then his parents picked him up and took him home.
Okay.
And then I met him at his house.
Yeah.
But that just tells you, dude, like, again, back to the whole, nobody's better than anybody else.
No.
Everybody has their own mission. Do people make better choices? Yeah. Do they receive better because they did better? Yeah.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that you're better than people. I have a story. There was this guy, he was in my psychology class, and I was just going back to school, had my associate's degree. I decided, you want to know what? I'm just going to go for it. I tell people to believe in yourself, take action, do it. So I decided I'm going to get a master's degree in psychology, right? And as soon as I walked in, I was like, man, I'm the freaking oldest person here, dude. All these kids, 18 years old, doing what they're supposed to do, or so it looks like. There was a guy that walked in, dude. He had tattoos all over his neck, his face, his arms, and most people would judge and say, this guy's confused.
Yeah.
Right. That's how he put it. He's like, I had all these tattoos all over my body because I was trying to find myself. And I was like, dude, I got Soldier Boy. I got all stupid crap on me because I didn't know. I'm just like, bro, okay, at that chapter of my life, that sounded like a good idea. I was trying to find myself. Right.
Yeah.
But anyways, I got talking to this person and he was in his 50 something. And he said, man, when I was a little kid, Ryan, I'm from Stockton, Colorado. I believe it was Stockton, Colorado. His family was into human trafficking and drugs. And he said, ever since I was a little kid, my mom would say, baby, you're never going to have to work. All the girls are going to make the money for you, sweetie. He's like, I was bred that way to be the biggest drug dealer. And he's like, drugs were coming through my house, Ryan. By the age of, I think he said 14 or 17, he fought to the death of a guy that was trying to get his mom.
Really?
And he fought to the death. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And he served time, right? And he was in and out of prison his whole life. Now he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I just want to get a degree. I want to change. And man, we had heart to hearts. We had freaking conversations. And he made the dean's list.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like, the dude made the dean's list. He was doing excellent. And, I hate to ruin the happy ending, but he disobeyed on going to a party. He said, dude, I graduated, whatever he graduated, maybe his associate's degree. And he's like, dude, I just was like, man, screw it. I'm going to party.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I had a couple drinks. I felt guilty. He's like, Ryan, and I'm telling you the truth, man. And I got in a car to drive home and got pulled over, sent back to prison. So it just goes to tell you, like, A, don't judge because people can change. 2, when you start making good choices, even one stupid choice could set you back.
It could slow down the progress.
It could
for sure,
slow down the progress. But I just want to add that cool story because I saw the light go on in his eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to change. And I knew like, you're going to change. And he said, dude, I made the dean's list. Hey bro, I graduated and then sent back.
Well, dude, and the cool thing is that he did change. And it goes like to what you were saying in the other earlier with moving from Delta to Payson. Like he got out of prison, changed his identity. I actually, and I share this with a ton of respect and love, and I'm not going to share too much of the details because it's not my story. But my dad was married once before he married my mom.
Yeah.
And with the first wife, he had 5 kids. The oldest of those kids is a stud, man. But he was in and out of prison until he was in his mid 40s.
Yeah.
And he was no joke in prison. Like if you ask anybody in the legal system, if you know him by his street name, they all know who he is. Wow. All of them know who he is. But he's a stud, dude. And one day he was just like, I'm going to change. I'm done doing this. Like I succeeded at like the highest level on this side of the law that I could. I'm going to the other side. Yeah. And he's a stud. Wow. He is a stud. And so I really genuinely believe that like people do the very best they can with the resources they have available to them, meaning what they've been exposed to, what they've learned, what the books they've put in their mind, the parents they've had, the influences they've had. And so it's not a surprise that dude did a really good job, hit a goal, made the accomplishment, but then
slipped up.
Well, we didn't even slip up, dude. He still was doing the best thing that he thought was possible because he's like, I'm going to celebrate. And so he went to celebrate. He didn't bring celebration. He didn't learn a new way to celebrate in the new identity. He went back to the old identity and then it got him. So across the board.
Even feeling guilty and leaving.
That's the old identity, bro.
Still got him.
Yeah.
Wow, bro.
So it's like,
dude. Wow.
We got to level up on all the game, right? Like on the good and the bad. But you can't do that unless you're willing to do that self-evaluation of even evaluating the dark. When it was good in the dark, what did I do? Well, that's still in the dark. So maybe I need to look for when it's good in the light. What should I do? Yeah. You can still party. Just don't go where there's alcohol, bro.
Dude, I love that, man. And, you know, I've been in the dark, obviously. One of my friends, I helped him get into drugs and he overdosed. And I was that guy, dude. Man, I'm short, but I was always clever and I had a white smile and I was just... I always thought I was confident.
You're slick,
I probably was just some little bug, you know, to some people. I thought a little dumbass, you know. But I was always just clever, dude. Clever. And confidence always came pretty easy to me. I always learned at a young age, like, people want a good looking person. So I would shine my teeth with the washcloth and man, I had tattoos and, you know, back in the, 15, 16, 17 years ago, that was kind of like a trend coming in, six packs. And it was like, and now health is very popular now again. And I was just a party boy, dude. And I knew that, girls, they liked party boys, the women that I would go after, sad to say, the ones that had problems with their parents and that struggled in life. And I drugged so many people down that, I've had to go back and deal with that, bro. And that was hard because I'm like, man, one of my friends that I did drugs with, she's on the streets in Salt Lake somewhere. Another person I saw with a prison thing on. My other friend died. It's like, I think out of that friend group, I was the only one that cleaned up my life real early and didn't, I went to war. Yeah. And the second group, everybody's doing pretty good, but back to the darkness, I had somebody that helped pull me out.
Okay.
His name was Rick Rasmussen. You know him from Cleveland?
No.
And
if I saw him, I've seen that guy.
Ryan Rasmussen's his son. Maybe it was just the time he moved out, but I was homeless, breaking into the apartments at UVU to sleep.
Okay.
Couch surfing on my friend's couch, drinking, all the things, dude. Yeah. But I wanted to change. Yeah. And finally I went to court and it was, okay, you clean up your act. And people always say, well, why didn't you go home? And periodically I would go home, but I would never want my parents to see me because they know guilt,
shame,
guilt and shame. But when I did go home, they'd give me a whole bag of food, garbage bags of food. And I'd bring them back and me and all my friends would eat the food and then I'd run out. So me and my buddy, Van Ryan, we would walk around the town and look for money. Yeah. And we would go to we'd go to Walmart and we would buy food. Yeah. And I needed about 2 months until we're going to Afghanistan. Like, I'm going to change my life. Like, okay, the last little push. And I had no money. I had a car that, dude, the bumper's been ripped off. The bank was looking for it because I was behind on my payments.
We've all been there, dude. We've all been there. We're like, where'd the car go? I might got repossessed, dude. I don't know. Yeah.
Struggle.
Yeah.
And I had a Cricket phone, $50 a month. I always made sure that was on, right? Because I was the guy, and it disappoints me to say this, and that's why people need to be very careful who they hang out with, especially girls. Like, yeah, man, you know, ever since you're little, you watch The Hero. So I knew, I was military. Oh, man, I look like a hero. And I played that, and I would deceive women. And I would get what I wanted from them. Yeah. And it was a very wrong thing to do. And I would dress up like I was just this is me. And then I would go back to nothing. You know what I mean? And it breaks my heart to even say that because it's just sad.
Yeah, dude, it's part of the story.
Part of the story, man. Yeah. It's teaching young women to don't fall for those types of people. Yeah. But I got a message, and it was my buddy Rick Rasmussen. He was a boxing coach of mine, a friend of mine, a mentor. Yeah. And I went to school with his daughters, and he said, Ryan, meet me at a Mexican restaurant. And I remember saying, I can't. Like, my gas gauge was empty. Like, no way that car made it there and back. And I said, I don't have any money. He said, Ryan, meet me at this Mexican restaurant. It was in Springville, Utah. And so I get in my car, and I drive there, and he says, okay, you know.
Is it right next to a Maverick?
Yeah.
It's a great restaurant.
Wait. The one down from Maverick.
It's a great one.
In the middle. Yeah. Two great ones there.
Yeah.
And he says, order whatever. And I said, I don't have any money, Rick. You know, and now I'm feeling ashamed, guilty. Like he knows me from hanging out with his daughter. He knows me from helping me teaching me how to box. And, you know, it's kind of like you see people and you're like, yeah, no, I'm doing good. But deep down, he knows, and you know.
He sees you in the pit.
Your struggle. I'm in the pit. And, and I remember him saying, hey, you order whatever you want. And, you know, I ordered a humble meal, and I knew what he was going to do. I knew he was going to reach into his pocket and give me money. And I said, Rick, I can't take that. And he proceeded to go in and pull out money and slide it across. And of course, when he's sliding that across, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've used money for drugs. I've done this. And he said, I know that will get you by. And you know, that was let's see, 15 years ago. Let's see, 15 years ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? 16 years ago. So $100 carried a lot more weight than it does now. Yeah. Oh, 100%. And especially for a single guy. It's like I can buy macaroni all month and be good on that.
I got ramen for days.
Yeah, bro. I got ramen for days. And he said, take it, but promise me one day you'll pay me back. And I said, Rick, I can't, just take it. He slid it across the table. And I remember giving him a hug, and I remember putting the money in my pocket. And I went out to my car, and I started driving off, and I started to tear up. And I'm like, how could I pay him back? And $100 to somebody that has no dollars is a lot of money. And I couldn't even, I was in that realm that you talked about where you're just going through life. Like, I hope life works out. I hope I'm going to be happy. When I threw up my graduation cap at college graduation of high school, I was the homecoming king. Yeah. Graduated in the military. Like, I went to the military. I thought when I threw my cap into the air, I would just get success. Life doesn't happen. 2 years later, 8 times in jail, pulled over with drugs multiple times, $30,000 in debt. I was just I don't want the cops to follow me, and I just want to make it to the next day. Yeah. And I remember thinking, man, I hope I die. Like, because there was girls in Emery County that I would hang out with that their parents said, hey, there's no more hanging out with Ryan Stream. So if I went to war and I died, I would die a hero. And people would remember me as a hero, not as the person that you shouldn't have hung out with. Yeah. And anyways, he gives me that money. I go to war, struggle my butt off, come home, and start training to go back to, I was only home for like 11 months, and then I went back to war. But I remember getting a new car for me, used car, but it was new, it was nice, black rims on it. And And I remember pulling up to Rick Rasmussen's house, and he and his son-in-law were sitting on the grass, and they, who's here? And I got out of the vehicle, dude. And it's just, you could just tell he's just like, dude, and he hugged me, and I, shook his son-in-law's hand. It's a great guy. And he said, what are you doing? And I talked to him a little bit, and I'm confident, dude. I got a new car. I got muscle. Yeah. I just went to war. Like I did what heroes did. And he said, why'd you come? Like, I appreciate you coming, but hey, what could I help you with? And I reached into my pocket and I pulled out $100.
Yeah.
And I said, Rick, I'm here to pay you back.
Yeah.
And dude, he just lit up, bro. And during your life, you're going to have opportunities to help people, right? Yeah. And whether it be inspire them with the story or give them money, that's 2 of the 5 ways to change people's lives. It's sometimes you're the puzzle piece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes you might think, I can't do something big. I don't have all this money. Sometimes it's just words.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the 5 best gifts, the 5 best gifts I've ever got in my life was, number 1, my brothers and I were asking people for food at a homeless shelter. And there was an old man that gave me a box of raisins. Number 2, aside from the family that adopted me and kept all of my brothers together.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later went and got my other brother, which is a phenomenal story.
Yeah.
They won the Hero Award when they gave me a brand new pair of light up shoes on my birthday. The second best gift I've ever got.
Light up shoes, dude.
Light up
That's
shoes,
a
bro.
blast from the past.
You know what I mean?
Was it LA Gear?
Oh, I'm not Walmart special, bro.
That's LA Gear, baby. Those were the big deal. Yeah.
Man. And then the third gift was the judge that allowed me to go to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
The fourth gift was Rick, $100 bill. And the fifth gift was a little boy that we almost shot in Afghanistan that we thought he was going to blow us up. And so the gunner put the weapon on him and we shot a pin flare at him and he got scared and he kept coming towards us and he just wanted food.
Yeah.
And anyways, he brought, after that, the story, I jumped around there, but we gave him food and then he came back and that's when he had something behind his back.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, there's nothing over there and it's like biblical. Walls are made out of mud. Nothing. Absolutely nothing there.
Yeah.
And a couple hours later, the little boy comes back. But at this time, they were putting bombs on the children. And then when you would feed them in our province, they would blow the children up. And the little boy, we put the weapons, we called up, we were going to shoot the little boy and he stopped. He held up the 5th best gift I've ever been given. It was an egg. He ran all the way home and he was probably about 9 years old, 8 years old, came back and said, thank you for what we gave him. It was food. Yeah. He said his family was starving. Yeah. And so, we loaded him up again and he ran off. But, throughout my life, I've realized this, man. Wow. You don't need, and people don't need anything big.
No, they don't.
What
Sometimes
do they
it's
need?
A smile, bro.
Sometimes it's hope.
Yeah.
And when you smile, somebody say, hey, how are you? Hello.
Yeah.
That may have just been enough to literally help somebody save themselves. Yeah. Because, you see stories and the most viral stories. That's why I'm using this because most of us have seen it is the people on the San Francisco bridge that were going to jump off. And then the most viral story, I would imagine one of them is the police officer going behind and grabbing the guy and just having a conversation with him. And the guy lived. Yeah. It's like sometimes people are so lost in that realm of I'm just getting through that. Psychology again says you have 10 minutes. When you decide this is it, this is how I'm going to do it, there's a 10-minute window. Yeah. Yeah. So if you never know when somebody's in that 10-minute window. Yeah. And I'd have to fact check myself, but over 90% of people have thought about ending their lives at one point in their life.
Dude, I would say it's everybody, man.
Crazy, huh? And a lot of people say they say 90% because you won't get in trouble for saying 90, but there was literally an article. Yeah. But I know I have. We talked about that. It's when life gets hard, you think,
they'd be better off without me, dude.
They'll be better off without me. But if people just realize it's your battle scars, it is your trials, it is your muddy shoes, and that makes you who you are, bro. I want to stand before God and just look like Rocky, and just be like, I freaking did it. Like I could have been better. Yeah. But here I am, and that's why, people are like, man, what happened here? What happened? 3 wrist surgeries, amputated finger, crushed in a semi. You know what I mean? Like, dude, blood clots. I'm the guy, I got scars on every part of my body. Yeah. And they all have a cool story. Yeah. And how do you connect with people? Stories.
That's powerful.
Moments are powerful.
So that entire thing started with what do you love to do the most? And it's tell stories.
Dude, I love
it. And to see that light turn on as a result of the story.
And I love to tell stories because I love my stories. I'm grateful for my stories, but it's what comes from being vulnerable, a relationship,
Okay.
And if I'm vulnerable and I'm opening up to you, I didn't know this about you. You didn't know this about me. We met, we saw each other at the gym. It was like, hey, what up, dude?
Yeah.
But as soon as we started looking into each other and checking stories and stuff, it's, dude, let's sit down, man. Like, dang, I want to tell you about me.
Yeah.
You tell me about you, and let's build these steps so we can help them.
100%, dude.
See, and that's just freaking awesome. Dude. And I don't want anything else bad happening to me. I need some blessings, but then I have to remind myself every day is a blessing, man.
Every day is a blessing.
Every day is a blessing. You know, and what people need to realize too is the darkest day. Okay, let's get real here. What was the darkest moment of your life?
Mine?
Yeah, like the darkest when you just cried out for help. I don't know. What is the darkest moment?
Do you know what's funny is the first one that comes to mind, the very first darkest moment that came is, so I found my mom dead. That's like, wow. I found her dead. She was hunched over on the side of the bed. She had a massive complication with a bunch of prescription drugs. So it wasn't necessarily an overdose because there wasn't enough in her body to kill her of a specific drug. Yeah. But the combination between Loratab and Benadryl, maybe it was oxycodone, I don't remember. But that chemical reaction just shut it off, dude.
Wow.
And I went upstairs and she was hunched over the side of her bed. And like, you know, having been in the drug world, you see people fall asleep in weird positions, dude, where you're like, that's weird. Yeah. And so I was joking about it, dude. Like I came around the corner and I was like, that's weird. Like, why you sleep like that? Like trying to get her to wake up. And she's like hunched over and her hands are hanging down by the side of her legs and they're black because rigor mortis had set in. But I didn't know what rigor mortis was. I was 16, right? So I was like, well, that's not normal. So I go in and I like get up under her just a little bit so I can push her up. And as she came up, like air went into her lungs. And so I was like, oh, you are dark purple, but I think you're alive because you just made noise. Yeah. And then so trying to go through the steps of the CPR, okay, open her mouth, she's full of puke, dude, that's not good. So then flipping her to her side because she doesn't choke, all the Boy Scout training, right? All the stuff. I'm just going through the steps and I'm calling I run in, call the paramedics, they get there and they just look at me and they're like, dude, she's dead. She's gone. And I that was probably one of the darkest moments where I was like, I don't know what to do. I literally do not know what to do. And I just I went downstairs and just paced back and forth to gather my thoughts. That was probably the darkest. But dude, every day we go through a little bit of darkness. And if people, like, some people call it anxiety, some people call it depression, some people call it mental health, like call it what you will, but like there's always a choice of how are you going to respond to it. Yeah. Like,
and I think, go ahead.
But that's probably the darkest one.
Well, I want to address that first. Dang, dude. Yeah. You know, that reminded me of a story of, you know, connecting with another guy. He saw his mom, you know, take her life. Yeah. Wow. And it's like, gee, that'd be tough, dude. And you know, it's the experiences that we have. I know how my mom did it. I wasn't there. I was already adopted by another family, of course. But, you know, the reason why, I have people, I tell them mine, and I have many, and I'll tell you another one real quick. You know, I was doing drugs at a house in Salt Lake. And, dude, I was so high, and kids started coming in. Kids. And I remember, like, what are these kids here for? And I remember one of the guys saying, they're fine. They've already done all these drugs.
Man, yeah.
And I got up, and I just started walking. Yeah. I walked out the door of that house, and I didn't even know where we were. I just started walking. Yeah. And praying, please, God, I am so sorry, you know. Yeah. And, wild. Yeah. But we got through it.
Yeah, you do.
That's what I'm saying.
If you make that choice of, dude, I'm getting out of this. It's not over until I win, baby.
Dude, I love that. So, dude, when I met Les Brown, he has a speech where he says, I'm the one. Chased a guy out of the stadium. He said, hey, man, I'm the one. Yeah. And when I met him, there was only like 20 other people in the room. You know, we paid to be there with him, and I was a panelist at the event. Yeah. And I walked right up to him, and I said, I'm the one, Les. And I stood out. Everybody looked at me. He looked at me, and sat right by me, and we hugged, we chatted. I got to eat lunch with him, and I realized he was just a normal person.
Yeah, he's 100%. Puts his pants on the
I
same
think
way, baby.
everybody needs to meet their hero.
I agree.
And
They're normal.
He gave me his email and never reached out.
Yeah.
Not that he wasn't amazing, but I didn't need to.
Yeah.
I wanted to shake his hand.
Yeah.
He was probably going to sell me something.
Yeah.
He's a businessman. We all are. I didn't need anything else.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you for saving my life. And I don't think that you realize what you saved, but I'm not just a normal guy. I get to speak all over the nation. And it was because of you and Eric Thomas when I was at my darkest moments, listening to "It's Not Over Until I Win," or, you got to believe in yourself or nobody else will. But again, why I say that is traumatic experience, bro. Crazy experience.
Yeah.
But you got through it.
Oh, 100%.
And if you can get through that,
yeah, you
can get through a lot of other things that happen in your life. And, you think of police officers and first responders, military, people that, and I didn't say military just for me. Let's take that out of the equation. Let's say nurses.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Like, how many people come in and
people that,
and exactly. Yeah. Imagine the stuff they see and it's all a choice.
Yeah.
And it's all a choice is okay. This is just what's supposed to happen.
Right.
Whether we like the way it goes or not, there's a cross right there, not right here, but where Jesus died.
Yeah.
And we're all going to be saved if we believe him.
Yeah.
But our darkest days have light.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
100%,
That's like, as soon as I was like, oh my gosh, this is a chapter.
Yeah.
Just because you had one bad chapter doesn't mean your book's gone to crap.
Just a play in the game,
Amen,
dude. Back to the huddle,
and
baby.
when you get on a foundation of helping people and their hardships come on, they always want to be like, well, what's happened to you? And then when you say that, because it gets to that, because I know it gets to that, it's like, well, what happened to you?
Yeah.
And I say, well, we have different experiences, but when I was a little kid, and then they're just like, dang. And then what do? They humble themselves down.
Common ground, baby.
They found common ground and they realize you could help me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, dude.
On the note of Les Brown, you said something about Les Brown and about your book. So you had said they're 99 cents. So from my experience, like you said, he's probably going to try to sell me something because he's a businessman. And then you said, dude, I just want to sell hope. Like I just want, but I make it as affordable as possible. But then you also mentioned that you had paid to be on that panel. I think, and I don't know what the spiritual idea behind it is, or if there's even anything in the spiritual realm of it, but people who pay attention. Where there is an energy exchange.
Oh yeah.
Whether that is time, money, effort, whatever it may be, there has to be an energy exchange for them to buy into it,
dude.
Like they have to.
You're right. Because if people say, hey, here's this free event, they might not go. But if they're paying, and I think that's why public speakers, there's times I get paid. Bro. Yeah, dude. Yeah, sometimes 15,000 to speak. Agree, sometimes, actually, I won't take less than 5,000. I try not to.
No, you shouldn't.
But when I show up, experience, knowledge backed by whether it be books of education or knowledge, or I always say psychology, just because I'm in the mental health. Yeah. Not that I know everything, but it's like my steps that I spoke about already, I know they could help you because they helped me.
Right.
But what are people paying for? Anybody could open up and they want somebody that could have common ground with the people there.
100%.
Because they know not everybody, the 5 ways to change people's lives or even a workforce. How do you change that? You inspire them.
Right. Right.
So they need an inspirational, motivational speaker to come in and inspire them, to help them change, right?
Right, right.
So, man, just remember, no matter what you've gone through in your life, you've already, the sun's already come up, the new day's already started, and if you're still living in the past, that's your choice.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's your choice. Like, knock that crap off. Forgive. You know, that's a big thing, dude.
Yeah.
I've been sued by a guy that I paid cash, and then he sued me again later. So right when I married my wife, I came home from Afghanistan. The cop showed up at her house.
Yeah.
So her parents are like, what?
Who's this guy? Who'd you bring home?
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
And anyways, I ended up paying him back, but I got on social media and I said, I forgive you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to live with that. I forgive you, but what you did was wrong.
Yeah.
And there's a few people that owe me money right now, and I've been very patient and kind. And sometimes when you go and deal with people in the past, your gloves, they got to be on. Like if we're going to deal with this, we can do it honestly with integrity. But that's my biggest fault is when I go back and deal with things, I'm always like, it's fine.
It's not fine.
That's fine. No, it's okay. And I understand that just brush it off. But sometimes you might be the lesson somebody else needs.
It's true, dude. It's so true.
And that's where I'm at right now. I'm just, so many things have gone a certain way where other people have just, I want us both to get to the top.
Yeah.
But sometimes somebody just wants to be alone on the top.
Yeah.
So just be cautious of those people.
Yeah.
And when you go back and deal with certain things, traumatic, relationships, financial, deal with them and then move on.
Move on, dude. Keep moving. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, you can't learn from something that you will run away from. And it won't stop chasing you until you turn around and face it.
Yep.
Like
I love that.
It'll eventually get you, dude. So it's so powerful. And dude, I think that it's incredible that you get paid to share your message, because the reality of it is people need to hear it, and people who pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, dude, it is a powerful, powerful thing to be able to inspire somebody to see that light bulb go on. And there just seems to be a part of the equation that maybe it's 2%, going back to what we were talking, that will remember what was said if they didn't pay for it, like a second grader in an auditorium. But I think that ratio maybe gets a little bit more when they've got skin in the game. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, because they're paying their hard-earned money to be there.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you there.
Yeah.
I love that, dude. You get paid for in your words, being in the pit.
Yeah.
Because some people are getting ready to go into the pit and they want to know, what's it like? How could I prepare for the pit? Or they're in the pit.
Yep.
And they're saying, how did you get out of the pit? I loved how you said that, dude. That's great. Cause sometimes I'm like, well, you could pay me this. And it's like, I've did my time, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing my time, but I would like to get treated valuable
because you are valuable
for the knowledge and the time that I've spent in the pit.
Well, and it's just like what you said is nobody's going to believe in you unless you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
No one will value you unless you value yourself.
Yeah.
They'll just continue to not value you.
Yeah.
And that's sales. That is the essence of sales, is everybody comes looking for a solution when they're in the pit. Nobody's looking for a solution until the pain is so much that they're like, I need something different. Them. Like you said. So they're in the pit, then they start seeking the solution.
Dude. Yeah.
And if you can meet them in the pit and say, tell me, dude, and ask them questions and get to understand them and build that common ground in the pit.
Yep.
But then say, look, here's the peak. Here's where we're going. Here's what's possible.
Yeah.
Here's the path. Just like starting the trucking company. Here's the steps you take on the path. Then if your path of what you have to offer, whether it's a security system because they're tired of their homes getting broken into, or if they want their bugs killed because you're selling pest control, or if it's your coaching, what I have to offer you, what's on my path, I will pitch you in confidence because it will get you to the peak if you do the work.
Yeah.
Like that's all that sales is providing someone with a path. And if they pay attention.
Yeah. If they pay, they pay. I like that, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Sales is, I love sales is the core of human psychology. Like it's just exchanges.
Well, I heard somebody say, you're going to like this. There's only 2 ways to make money. Do you know what ways?
I only know one: sell
and service. Sales and service.
That's it, dude. Yeah. They go hand in hand, baby.
Exactly. When he said that, before I spoke about it, I actually did my read, and I thought it's like teacher. Oh, she serves. Yeah. Right. Okay. Cop serves. Military guy serves. Okay. The guy that comes here and puts in the lights. Okay. He serves by putting them in, but who made the cells to make that light pop? Yeah. I was like, what?
It's all, dude.
So it's like, do you like selling people or do you like serving people?
The most powerful is when what you sell actually provides the service too. Yep. That's why inspiring people from stage, what I'm selling is going to serve them if they align themselves with this knowledge.
Yep. If you can solve other people's problems, you'll be rich.
Ta-da.
So, and and I want to add on that, like, it's never enough. I remember I'm like, okay, as soon as I get to $100,000, we'll just put that for easy math. I'm going to be happy.
No.
and then I got to $100,000 and I realized we need more. So if we go out and we get a little bit more, you get a nicer truck.
Yeah.
You might take a trip or two.
Yeah.
You might upgrade your lifestyle. And then what? You're back to, I need more. You know what I mean? We always need more.
Yeah.
Always, no matter what. And I remember this one guy saying he was a billionaire, and I believe he was a billionaire, maybe just a millionaire, but he said, "What's success to you?" And the guy said, "When my children want to come home and see me after they're 18 years old."
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
That's a W. Yeah.
That is a W. Because, dude, you think about, I remember, getting a pair of shoes, light up shoes. And I'm not going to use that because I just got adopted, light up shoes. That's a very powerful thing. But the things that I loved the most is I remember catching a football at Emory High School, playing football. And I remember running it back for a touchdown. And I remember looking over and seeing my dad run with me.
Really?
It's like, that was awesome. I remember when my mom, Carol Ann, I couldn't read and write. I was so far behind. She taught me how to write my name. So she grabbed my hand and she was teaching me how to write.
Yeah.
And I would tell everybody, and I would sign my name on everything. This isn't a lie.
Yeah.
And I would tell people, one day I'm going to be famous. I'm going to write my name all over the place. And I thought I was going to the NBA. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, Ryan. But I remember my mom teaching me that. It was never them necessarily giving me something. I remember us going to Disneyland once. It's like, well, I was great, but oh well. It's the powerful moments. I think that children really love. It's not okay, we'll use this as an example, dude. My daughter, she has 6 gold medals in 6 states. Okay. Right? We invest plenty into my daughter.
Right.
But she grew up that way.
Yeah.
She expects nothing less.
Yeah.
And if there's anything less, it's
what's the deal, dude? Yeah, where you at, Pops?
They're doing it.
Go do another engagement.
That daughter has it.
Yeah.
That she's doing it.
I get it, dude.
You know what I mean? But when they get older, it's not us doing that for them.
Yeah.
It's the simple things like spending time with them.
Oh, 100%, dude.
And
being there while they get the gold medals.
I think in Utah, especially in the country, you see all these kids posting hunting with their dad. I didn't hunt with my dad. You didn't hunt with your dad.
No, but I hunt a ton now. Yeah.
Yeah. But you see them, and you probably take your kids.
Sometimes.
When they're quiet. Yeah. Right. But you see later on in life, old men with their kids, grandkids, all holding up a deer. I don't even hunt.
Yeah.
But I still, man, you're out there. There's no service. You're coming back once a year as a family and just doing what you guys built.
Dude, some of my most powerful spiritual lessons have come on the mountain, dude. Yeah. Where it's like, I am in a pickle. I do not, and it's all in the pursuit of shooting that animal.
Oh, that is funny.
And it's like, God, the only way we're getting out of this is together, man.
Like, if it goes to crap, how am I going to make it for my family? I can't even get the deer. I probably couldn't get a deer. Let's get that out of the way. But
it's so powerful, dude. The word has a more powerful effect than the sword, dude. 100% does. And if you can touch the hearts and the minds of humanity and make it a better place, it makes everything go smoother.
Let me tell you something that's going to go with that. So when you talk about words, literally in the word spelling, it says spell.
Okay.
And words are so powerful. If I told my little girl that it's Christmas, Santa Claus is coming.
Yeah.
She's 7 years old, dude. Santa Claus is coming.
100%.
If I say, you just lost a tooth, bud, she already knows what to do. What is she going to do?
Put it on the pillow, baby.
Put it on the pillow.
That tooth fairy's coming.
Tooth fairy's going to come.
Yeah.
Tooth fairy's sick of it.
Yeah.
Tooth fairy's going to come. So if I tell her you're going to be...
How many more teeth you got?
Yeah. Are those fake teeth? Now, what I do to my kids is I call them world champions. Ever since they were like, how's my little world champion? How's my champ? And my daughter knows, like, I'm going to be a world champ.
Yeah.
And she goes and she kicks butt.
Yeah.
Because I know that words are so powerful that I could cast a spell on them by uploading positivity into their mind.
100%.
And because then they know that's just what it is, Dad. I'm a champ. I'm going to lose until I win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
No.
Now imagine the parent that's like, you're a dumbass.
Oh, it's
you're
the worst.
Stupid. Or the parent that's like, oh, my kid would never do that. And it's like, you're totally just trampling on your kid.
Yeah.
Because you're not helping them. If you're not helping them, you're hurting them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if your parents, we've befriended people that have just talked ill. And then we found out that the kids were bullying at the school. And no surprise.
Yeah.
The parents' actions speak louder than the words, but the words is what they hear.
A lot more is caught than taught. 100%.
Oh,
A lot more is.
write that down.
Yeah.
But I love that, dude.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just would highly recommend people to remember that spelling, it says spell. And I heard that one time and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Cast a spell.
Think
dude.
about it, bro.
Yeah.
It comes back to self-belief, manifestation. I'm the best. And this is what I say. I'm the best. Nobody's better than me. I will succeed. I will be the best version of myself. Every time I take the stage, I say that to myself. Am I the best? No. Do I sing the best? No. Do I speak the best? No. But I'm here for a reason. I'm taking that stage for a reason. And if there's one person in that audience, and there always is,
Yeah.
that comes up to me and says, I needed this.
Yeah.
I needed this too, because it's a reminder of why I'm here.
Right.
To serve, help, give, love, and show it's possible.
I love it, dude. I love it. It's so fun. So earlier in one of the other, I think it's probably in the other episode, you talked about Will Smith saying rock
Will
bottom.
Smith, that's what it was. Yep.
Yep. Will Smith, rock bottom. And then I had seen that clip as well where the other side of rock bottom is the cliff's edge.
Yep. There you go.
Once you've climbed all the way to the peak
Yep.
and you've received everything, it's the cliff's edge.
Yeah.
But that's literally the progression of life, dude.
Yeah.
Today's pit was 10 years ago's peak.
Yeah.
Like
Jeez.
100%. And today, this, like the peak we're on now is 5 years from now's pit. Like, and so we hit rock bottom, self-evaluation.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, where are we at now?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
And you have to change, bro.
And you have to. And then you got to get accountable with it of, okay, well, here's where I'm at now. Here's where I want to go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start going in this direction. And once I get there, I can see further, but I have to willingly jump into the next pit to get to the next peak.
Yeah.
And instead of being thrown into the pit with stupid decisions, you jump in with the flares on, dude, being like, let's go.
David running towards Goliath.
Yeah.
Man.
It's powerful. It's eternal progression, man.
Yep. And if
expansion and excellence is never ending.
Yep.
It's always expanding.
I love that. And if you don't, it's spiritual suicide.
Oh, it's the worst.
You know what I love, dude? We could adapt. Humans could adapt, dude. And I learned that in every circumstance I've been in my life.
Yeah.
Is no matter where I go, we're going to adapt. It might be different, but you're going to adapt.
Yeah.
And why would you want to be the same anyway?
It sounds silly.
Yeah. I mean, think about it, dude. Like, well, I better watch what I say because people all around us do that.
Yeah.
It's like same job, same life, same body, same.
But the
habit,
reality of it is, dude, if you're going to be on the stage being a truth teller, maybe you're the mirror that you hold up to them naked figuratively and be like, I love you, dude. And because I love you, I need you to look in this mirror and say, hey, you're leaving some on the table, dude.
And that's a good way to put it because I think some people truly are just happy, just, whatever happens. But I'm like, are you really?
And if they are, good on them.
Yeah. But are they really? Because we're supposed to progress. If they believe in God, our whole mission is to progress.
Yeah.
And if you're just, is that progression?
Well, it's like what your brother said. You're either going forward or you're going backwards.
Yeah. But I mean, and people, they would get so touchy about that. Like even speaking it, I'm kind of like, whoa.
It's okay. Yeah.
But we don't know other people. You're only in charge of your own ship. You're the captain. People can get on or not. Yeah. You can't save the whole world, but try to save the people that you can.
Yeah. Well, dude, I honestly think that the mirror is so powerful. Like, you can go into a box of mirrors by yourself without anybody else around, and then you can just have that conversation with yourself. Because you're right, we don't know other people. And maybe with the way they look, feel, act, the income they have, maybe looking in that mirror, they're proud of themselves. And good. Stay proud of yourself because that's going to get you more success. Yeah. But if there's something in there that you're like, I think that there's a better version of me that I can go get it. Yeah.
Whether you're doing it yourself or competing. But with competing, I know you know this too, when you're competing with people, it is the thief of joy.
Oh, 100%.
Comparison's the thief of joy.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes we see things and we want those things and we say we're not going to be happy until we get it. Yeah. And then screw everything else, I'm going towards this way. And I don't think that's really the right way to go about it. I think that's when you're just going to have to get with your wife, plan.
Yeah.
And how could we build towards a better life?
Right.
You know, but I was just thinking that when you were saying that, like, you know, when you get in there, it's like, do people really want to level up for themselves or are they doing it just because they want other people to see them? Like I truly love being on the stage because I was made for it, man. There's just something about it. Like when I'm up there, it's my happy spot because I know 27 to 29 years ago, there was somebody that changed my life.
Yeah, dude.
And so I'm just like, I don't know who you are, but I know you're here and listening.
Yeah.
Like that's why I love it. So I think another thing people need to realize is happiness isn't constant.
No.
But if you're not doing what brings you fulfillment,
yeah,
dude, you got to change. I personally know people that are struggling right now and they hate their job. And I'm like,
you're not a tree. Move.
Change it, dude.
Yeah.
But they don't know how.
Yeah.
That's when you go into the planning.
Yeah.
AI. You got somebody that literally freaking does it for you. There's no excuse. But they don't know how to use it. You know what they do? They do the same as the people with the internet. I don't need that.
Yeah.
Now you get on the ship or you're going to sink.
Yeah.
You know, Gary V for short, he remembers when people are getting on the internet and he's like, if you're not getting on the internet, your business is going to be gone. Sure, there's still businesses that build off word of mouth, but if you're in the industry of selling or speaking or that only takes you so far.
You got to be seen.
Got to be seen. Yep.
You got to be seen.
Okay, let's talk about that real quick because that's one thing. Whatever it is that you do, you need to speak about it.
Right.
Right? I remember when I was trying to be a motivational speaker, people would say, do you always have to tell people you're a speaker? Do you always have to tell people what you do? Are you telling them for me? No. So I have to.
Yeah.
So whatever your gift is, whatever your talent is, you need to share it.
Yeah.
It was given to you for a reason, and that reason is to help other people.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to go out there and market you for you unless you touch their heart. They might tell people about you.
Yeah.
But that, again, is your choice. And if you're waiting for other people to do it for you, and if you have something for the world, remember that depending on what you're in, I'm the product.
Yeah.
You're the product.
Yeah.
If you're in sales, whatever it is you're the product.
Yeah.
You're supposed to go out there and give it to people that could need it, that need it.
Yeah.
So don't ever be afraid to tell people or put yourself out there. There's going to be people that hate you. The analogy I'm going to use that stuck with me. Do you like meat? Do you like meat?
That's all I eat.
I freaking love meat. Do you like sushi? Do you like sushi?
I have moments of it.
We'll say no or yeah.
Nah. I don't like the raw stuff. I can do a California roll.
Okay. All right. So just here in this scenario, I'm going to say no because you're like, nah. There's people like, I love it. Right?
Yeah.
There was a lady that one time said, we're like flavor. It doesn't matter how amazing you are to somebody just might not like your flavor.
Ooh.
So if people are waiting for other people to be like, I love you, you got this, you're going to wait forever.
Yeah.
Because even Jesus taught us that. You could love, serve, give, teach, guide, help people with their self-development. They hung him.
Yeah.
So go out there, scream it. This is what I do. How could I help you? Hit me up. Like my stuff. Share my stuff.
Yeah.
Let's build together.
Dude, there's one thing that comes to mind on that with the Savior. And this is like a thing that I had struggled with because it's only been in the last 4 months that I've even started to put myself on the internet. Because that all, dude. Like this podcast is what forced me into the arena.
Dope, dude.
And I was like, all right, we're doing this. But I had been feeling like I needed to do it for a long time.
Yeah.
Like literally when I came home from my mission, the only thing I wanted to do was public speak. That's all I wanted to do. Yeah. Wow. I was like, I'm doing this. And then I took a few classes in college of public speaking. I was like, I'm just waiting for people to tell me they love me. Yeah. Nobody's saying anything. And so all I'm hearing is like, hey, dude, you just got married. You knocked her up real quick. You're going to have a baby. Go get a job. Yep. Oh, you got to get through school. Oh, you just had another baby. Oh, you just had another one. Do you know what's causing that? Oh, you had another one? And then 7 kids deep, it's like, I got to pay for these things. Yeah. You're like, what's going on here? And that's when sales really became a big part of my life. But coming full circle to it, it's just, like I said, it's only been in the last 4 months. And part of what I struggled with is, who am I to listen? Why would I say anything? Who wants to hear anything from me? And I had this paradigm shift that I'm not a savior. I'm just a leader. Like I've led sales teams. I've led a lot of sales teams. I've coached a lot of youth sports. I've led a lot of people. I can still lead, But if I'm not coming in with the complex, because I've hired sales guys trying to save them, get them out of a drug addiction or some poor circumstance of, dude, I know you can make money in this realm. I'm going to save you. And when I came in through that frame of like, I got you, just listen to me, that's when it didn't work out because they chose not to do it or they chose not to do the work. I'm now being crucified because I was trying to be the savior. But if I set super big boundaries and say, I will give you structure and I will give you a system to thrive inside of. And if you choose to do the work, dude, follow me. I will lead you to your
this
things.
Is what I'm doing.
Yeah. But if you're looking for a savior, there's one. It's Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You turn to him and his grace is sufficient.
Yeah.
But I will help lead you in that direction so that you can get to your peak.
Love that, dude.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, it's being an instrument in God's symphony, bro.
100%. Yeah.
I love how you said that, dude, because sometimes I'm even guilty of that. It's like, dude, just do what I did right after high school, go to the military, get out of the military, go do this. Like, you're good.
Yeah.
But maybe that's not their path. And
That's
who
true.
am I to try? It's up to us to try to save, right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to help, but he's the savior.
He is the savior.
We just help put him on the path. I like how you said that because I got to be careful with that because I'm not the savior.
We're just a signpost to the savior, dude.
Yep.
That's the way.
Yeah.
Just look at him.
I like that.
Yeah. It's
dude,
fun.
I love that, man. And you've kicked butt at sales, bro.
Well,
This guy's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see your face on social media. Good dude. Good dude. You know, and I always like to see people in off camera, dude. I'm a big off camera person. And even I had to be careful with this, you know, because back to the helicopters and Lambos and all that. I tell people like, well, this is social media. Yeah. You know, I just put that stuff in rap videos because that's what I grew up and that's what they do. You know, the helicopter, sure, let's do it. It's cool. Yeah. Now, I don't make very much videos as much because now people do the millions of views. You know, I could spend $10,000 on a music video, or I could literally just put the music video right here and sing and get as many views. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to not be fake, but I was playing a role, right? And if I'm an actor, literally my family and I were actors and models. Yeah. And if one day I could decide to be a country guy and do a country video because I choose to. I'm a musician. I can. Yeah. And then one day I could be a rapper. But with that, I realized it was causing confusion. Again, I don't necessarily care what people think, but I want them to know the stuff you're seeing on social media is not always real.
It's true.
And people are not always who they say they are.
That is also very true.
Like, dude, I've met people, and I get it, and maybe I don't get it. Okay, I want to put it into a perspective here, okay? Yeah. When I do a concert, like I was just in Oklahoma in front of over 5,000 people, I was signing autographs for 2 hours.
I love it, dude.
Dude, thank you. And I love that too.
It's exciting.
But then I get on the plane and I come home. I'm a normal person.
They're like, it's Ryan at the gym.
Hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I still try to be, if I have a conversation with you, I want you to be like, man, he's a good dude. Yeah. Like, whoa, dude, thanks for motivating me. Man, heck yeah. Yeah. Right? Because I don't ever want to be the guy that's not that. Yeah. So whoever you are, and I know you have to show different personalities at work and home. Yeah. My therapist said, Ryan, because I was in family counseling for a while, you're a different person on the stage. When you're at home, you're not on stage anymore, Ryan. Yeah. You need to be the home person.
Sometimes your wife doesn't want to be motivated, dude. She wants you to shut up and listen.
She motivates me, dude. Jeez. I love how you said that. Yeah. You're right, dude. Sometimes
I fall into that, like with my kids and my wife, that, like sometimes, because I've coached youth football for a while. Sales guys is a rah thing. Yeah. And so I'll come home and I'll like have like the authority hat up on like, do what I freaking say, let's go. Yeah. And all of them are like,
oh yeah, what? Dude. I'm just laughing at that. Yeah. All right, we're going to do this, and that. Well, I didn't want to do that today. All right. Well, I'm going to do this, and yeah. Isn't that something? So that's on that point. I think people just need to be real and honest, and honest to other people.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And dude, don't be fake. And if you see me and you see me doing anything fake, like, dude, I remember having my tattoo show and people thought I was a churchy person. And it's like, I believe I'm a churchy person, but this is who I am. You might hear me swear. It's who I am. Yeah. And I'm not going to hide it. Yeah. I'm going to be me 100%.
Be authentic. 100%.
Yeah, 100%, dude. So I just ask that of other people because there are a lot of people that steer people, take people's money, and are leading people, and they're not the person that you should follow.
I agree 100%, dude.
So be careful with that.
And truthfully, on the idea of not the savior, just a leader. Like I was so hesitant to say anything or do anything because I didn't want to lead anybody astray, because I'm not perfect. I do swear. I do things. I do lose my temper. I've punched holes in the walls. I've done a bunch of crap that I probably shouldn't do.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. And so it
childish.
Yeah, childish, dude.
Take accountability.
I've acted like a child.
You did, yeah.
Dude,
Me too.
I've been a pouty little baby.
Yeah.
Even this week,
when
man.
things don't go my way, sometimes I have to.
I'm going to get out of the car and walk away. Yeah.
Yeah.
This week,
times,
even.
Yeah. There's times I do too.
And so I was so afraid to say anything because I didn't want to be perceived as who I wasn't. But then what I realized is if I just can accept my role as I'm going to lead and I'm going to do the best I can following the Savior, and then rely on his grace when I do fall short, then I'll be willing to be an instrument in the symphony of God. And I'll say something. Yeah. Live by the freaking truth. I'll say something. Dude, do your best.
I love that. Isn't that like, I think of the story every day. I have AI. Hey, tell me a story about Jesus. Yeah. And where Peter gets out of the boat and walks across the water, and he starts to get nervous and he starts sinking. Yeah. That's usually where I'm like, you mother. Right? That's me. I'll agree. I'm just like, are you shitting me? It's not crapping me. It's not going to plan. So then I have to redo my evaluation and I have to learn a different way. Yeah. I get frustrated too. Yeah. Right. There's other speakers making millions that are younger than me speaking on stages. And I'm thinking, every stage I go to, people, they seem to like me. Like, come on. Come on, I'm ready. Yeah. But maybe you're not ready. Yeah. Maybe you see something that he's not seeing. Excuse me, he's seeing all things. Yeah. Right. But I love that analogy because he's like, dude, you lost faith. Yeah. You know, like, and he steps out of the water again. I just love stories like that, dude, because it's like, we're thinking, oh God, I punched a hole in the wall too. I have no room to talk, and it was childish. And, I just think of Peter sinking in the water, and then imagine if he just threw a fit. Oh shit. Right in front of the Lord, And
the Lord will do the same thing he does with us. Of like, I'm steadfast and immovable. I'm right here. Yeah. Reach up and grab my hand.
Dude, I love it. All you got to do is reach up, man. Yeah. And a lot of times people think you just reach up, you're good.
No.
It's
hold on,
the struggle, dude. And whenever you're ready to level up, bro. Okay, let's talk about leveling up, because I'm sure a lot of your listeners, like, they're to the point where they're like, okay, let's level up. And then it feels like, it just feels you're in a weird spot where it's like, okay, I don't know what to do. I have my plan, but it's like just stagnant, or almost like, that happens. That happens a lot. So when you're about ready to level up, even with your plan, you're going to be like, I have no idea what's going to happen next. Yeah. I'm doing the motions of what I'm supposed to do. The plan is still here. Yeah. And people need to realize too, even with working out, 3 or 4 weeks? I mean, you can kill it. And then finally you see a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just, and again, it's always going to be little. It starts out with one view. If you're building starts out with one truck, you're building a truck. It always starts out with one, unless you're given the money.
That's true.
But hey, praise the people and the parents that built a life so they'd be able to hand the kids. I dude, honestly, one of the things I've had to overcome is, especially moving up here, a lot of rich people.
There are.
And a lot of these, I used to think like, oh man, 80 grand in the mine, military retirement, speaking, dude, I'm pushing almost, back in the day, I was making a pretty good income coming up here. I thought I was king, dude. Yeah. And then I started to meet people. And then drive up to Woodland Hills, Eagle Mountain, and I'm like, dude, I am nothing. Don't get into the comparison. It's not good. Yeah. But I would see these kids driving G-Wagons and Range Rovers, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Yeah. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Until I saw a video, and it had a guy sitting against his Ferrari, and he was young. Mm-hmm. And some kids were talking crap to him, and you know what he said? Sorry, my parents figured it out and yours didn't. Oh, dude. Oh. And again, we all start from different parts. Yeah. Okay. But I think of all of us came to America at one point. Yeah. In the coal mines, I busted my butt. $33 an hour. I worked so freaking hard. Yeah. It didn't matter how much overtime I worked. I could work every single day, sleep for 8 hours, work again. I wouldn't break 200K. Jeez. You have to have a different plan. And you have to figure out the plan. And the best, I don't know how. Literally, when I was starting a trucking company, you know what I did? Asked a truck driver. Dude, how much money do you make an hour? Okay, if I owned the truck, how much would I make an hour? Yeah, yeah. And then I started listening to podcasts on building a trucking company. And then I asked that guy, What I learned to ask the guy, I learned it on a podcast.
Yeah.
You're going to fail until you figure it out.
I love it,
So, dude,
that's powerful.
I wanted to
That's powerful.
plug that in. Boom.
I like it, dude. Well, Ryan, I've loved this, dude. I appreciate
This is fun.
I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you spitting out the wisdom. Where does everybody find your books, dude?
Oh, Ryan Stream, Amazon. They should be on Barnes and Noble and all that coming up.
Okay.
For sure, Amazon. Right now, most of them are like 99 cents. Dudes and chicks, I make nothing from these books.
But you should.
Yes. I mean, after a couple weeks, when I remember, honestly, I forget. And then I'm like, oh, crap, I better make money. Yeah. But just to put it into context for you, okay? Just because you write a book doesn't mean you're going to make it in life. You made the book.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are like, well, I don't know why I should write a book. Dude, you don't write it to be a millionaire. You write it so your great-grandkids know who their great-grandpa is. Because if they're going to struggle with anxiety, depression, nobody's exempt from the emotions of life. Mm-hmm. Imagine do you know your great-grandpa?
Nope.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
He's gone. As sad as it is, in 100 years, nobody's going to remember 99% of you that are listening or us, unless
you say something.
And what's lasted throughout time? Not books. The internet. It goes up, it crashes.
Yeah.
Bible, the books.
Yep.
So that's why I say you should write a book. But just so people know, if you put a book on Amazon and it's $13.99 or $16.99, don't ever. It's like a business. You're not pocketing all $16.99. You're pocketing $4.
Yeah.
So when people are, I'm this and that, it's like, okay, well, that's great. Don't ever put people on a pedestal because they have a credential.
Yeah.
Even with the degree, bro, like, oh man, if I get a psychology degree, I'm going to be this and this. It's like, I'm the same dude. Yeah. I thought it was going to give me magical powers.
Yep.
Nothing.
The only magical powers come from right here.
Amen.
Right here.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's how you feel about it because nobody else gives a shit.
When I say right here and right here, I also, if these two things are connected up to God, that's when the magic is like, oh, it's working.
And you show him that you're fighting for good.
Yeah, 100%.
Love it. Conquer. Get your butts in the pit.
I love it. Thank you guys for watching.